Don't you think you a little bit too young for an iPhone? You gonna be 4 years old and you want an iPhone?
Mom, I'm in grade. New phone, and I want an iPhone. New phone. Connect securely with AT&T Back to Phone. AT&T customers can download for free.
I don't know, man. I don't know about no iPhone for a 4-year-old.
Look like that.
It's
I stopped so hard.
March 7th. Welcome back, Daddy's Podcast. I called out. I got another young man to come hang out with me, talk to me, and just enjoy life and enjoy vibes. Why don't you tell them who you are, young man?
What's up? I'm McKinley Nelson. One of Lil Greg's homies. One of his little competitors, I think, as a guard growing up in the city. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you called me.
Man, I appreciate it, man. I talked to Eliana, and she was like, I told her I was thinking about having you on. You know, she was like, oh, you call him. He gonna come.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what made me give you a call, man. And I'm glad you rolled down on me, man. So the audience can understand our relationship. Why don't you talk about how we met?
Cool. I remember I was just telling you when I introduced myself, I said I was a competitor of Lil Greg, but I knew Greg's name before I knew Greg, right? Just growing up, in the basketball, Chicago basketball series, especially elementary school, high school, like competing for the playoffs, and I remember like navigating through like the 5th and 6th grade tournament.
Okay. What school you at?
I was at Owen, and we actually ended up winning the city championship. It was a school like nobody really heard of, but
right.
I remember coming up through Owen, and everybody was like, "Yeah, like y'all nice, but it's a school from over East Carnegie. Y'all got to play. They got a guard over there named Greg." So me, like being a guard myself, I'm thinking I'm the best in the city.
You're supposed to.
Yeah, who is this Greg dude? Who is this Greg dude? And end up watching Carnegie play, and I'm like, I told the guy next to me, I'm like, yeah, you guarding him. If we ever see him in the playoffs, like you got him.
So where did you see him at? What was y'all at when you first saw him? When you had to be like, nah, man, I think
it was.
How many years are y'all apart? Are y'all?
So I'm 20. I just turned 26, so we're a year apart.
A year apart. Okay.
So I'm a little younger, and it ended up like working out, in my favor, me being a little younger, because I got to watch a lot, right? I was watching Miles, I was watching Paul, I was watching Ja. I'm like all
shout out to Miles.
Yeah, I'm all their little brother, So at times where I would go to Ferrari games and watch them play, I would see Lil Greg show out too. And it's crazy whenever I go, like other places, people always ask about 2 people that was on that team, right? Of course, they know what Ja, Miles, and Paul doing, but they always ask about Lil Greg, and they always ask about Marcus.
Straight up.
So it was crazy.
They had a whip too.
They had a
I used
whip.
to love watching that team play, man. I think we won nationals, if I remember right.
I think y'all got second.
It was second.
Y'all
yeah.
lost to Houston Hoops or Houston.
Okay.
The Houston team, because they had Justice Winslow and some other guys on that team. I remember that.
Oh, Justin Winslow, that was at Kentucky?
He was at Duke with Ja, yeah. But he's
no, he was at Duke, right, yeah.
He got drafted into Miami. He's over at Portland now.
Oh, okay.
I remember just not even like, want to say like a fan, but just as a basketball fan, like watching Lil Greg before I got an opportunity to meet him. But me being around the boys a lot, developed a solid relationship there. And then when we got older, I feel like the universe works in crazy ways, right? Like I grew up playing small fry with Lil Ricky, right? I grew up, excuse me, I grew up, and I ended up developing a foundation, and Jaren was the first person that was like taking pictures with me, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like everything was aligned where it was like, it was only like natural for me and Lil Greg to link back up. Nice. And then the pandemic came. I moved into my apartment, and everybody was just over there. We couldn't go outside. There was no clubs. There was no parties. No restaurants were open. We would just spend days at a time, either at Lil Ricky's house or my house, just playing spades, playing Uno, just kind of kicking it. So, and then I ended up seeing you at a Whitney Young thing, right? And that surprised me, because it was like, dang, I went here, me and Miles went here, and I saw you helping out with the Whitney Young basketball team. I'm like, the universe is just crazy, right?
Hold on, where at the
his summit, at Malcolm X,
bro. You blew my socks off that day, man. Tell me if you remember this. So I got the Whitney Young kids, right? And you was on stage with the panelists. And I can't remember the comment you made, but you said something to the fact that it's a father out there, and I'm not gonna say a name, but his son passed, and I can't imagine something that you said. It was just like, dang, you remember that day, man?
Yeah, we were speaking to the kids about violence in that city and mental health, and I was telling them, like, not directly but indirectly, like I've been a victim to it, like based off of the people that I've lost, stuff that I've seen, stuff that I've been around, right? And I was just expressing my pain. I'm like, you can't even imagine, like, somebody that I cared about, that I lost his father's in the crowd, what pain he has. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's just like even a wild moment. Like, sometimes we get in these spaces where we're selfish. We kind of look at like things like, why me? Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's people who's feeling it much worse than I am. You know what I'm saying? So, me and you just talked about this. You just talked about, like, you don't even have words to describe how you feel, but imagine what his kids feel. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like seeing you and seeing how courageous you've been, and like how you still want to be around kids, still want to be around the game, because I know what it brings back to you. I know the feeling that it brings back to you. You know what I'm saying? But you're just even like publicly out there, like showing face, like that takes a lot, right? So me being in spaces where I feel like I'm having a bad day, like I wish I could call my boys, like, Pops is out there getting it done. You know what I'm saying? So that's like inspiration to all of us as well. So that was pretty much my point on stage.
Man, thanks for that, man. That was awesome, man. I was thinking about that, like, on the way, when I got the kids back on the bus, on the way back to the school, even when I came back home, because a lot of times, like, fathers to me, like, can get overlooked sometimes. Like, it'd be like the mother, because the men, we supposed to be the strong ones, and, Big Greg, he okay, and shoot, I was hurt, but when I went outside and, I had to make sure my life was still going the best way it could, I had to, to put on this. So when you had said that, it kind of like just took me like by surprise, because, I don't really get that a lot, you know what I'm saying? So, man,
but even before I pointed it out, like, because Miles was there speaking to some of the kids, and Paul was there, they walked in and like, damn, that's Big Greg. You know what I'm saying? Like, so everybody was like excited and happy to, see you there. We saw you at, a glance, because we walked in and out of the wake, right? We walked in and out of the funeral, but that wasn't, the right space to have a conversation.
Because I was so messed. I don't even remember you. I didn't know you was there.
Yeah, we were there. We were there.
Okay.
And so then, like, us playing at Whitney Young, you know what I'm saying? Like, them more than me, but giving Whitney Young a state championship, like what we mean to that school and what that school means to us, and you being there, knowing what Lil Greg means to us. That was a special moment. I just had to say something.
Man, I appreciate that, man. Every time, like, I go into the gym, because Greg had hit, like, man, I remember maybe 47. Me and Coach Slaughter was talking. Greg went crazy this game, man. About 47, and him and I were Coach Slaughter and I, we was just talking. Next thing we know, heard the crowd go, wow, Greg just came half court, just let one go. Bang. I was like, dang, that's my child right there. You know what I'm saying, shoot, man? I was like,
Greg could shoot. Greg's a problem, man. Greg was, and he taller, right? So me being a little guard coming out of the city, a guard is a guard. You got to guard the guard, right? That's why I was trying to put him off on somebody else, like somebody else get this dude.
That's gonna be your problem today.
I ain't rocking with dude.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. Hey man, speaking on Lil Greg though, I like to use his platform as a way to give out flowers to fathers, man, that's out here doing work. And if you have a father or father figure that really poured into you, I'd like to take this time for you to, say his name or their names and just some of the qualities about, that man.
So I was, but I am, because they're still around, but I'm blessed to have two, right? My dad and myself, like, as I've gotten older, our relationship has gotten, like, amazing, right? Like, I think my dad right now is one of my best friends, right? But that took some time. But even while, like, developing that, like, waiting for that situation to come around and be what it is today. Like,
are y'all in the house together?
No. So now before we got to this space right now, I felt like I never missed a beat because I had my stepdad, So, like, from the time my stepdad was introduced to me until I got my license, I was getting rides to school from him, right? He never missed a basketball game, never missed a practice, never missed anything, right? And I still, like, can rely on him till today. There's been situations where we've been out hanging out, and when somebody threw up in the Uber, right, and I don't have Uber for a couple of weeks until they unban my account, I can rely on my stepdad to get me from point A to point B still today, right? So rely on him for anything. And then as far as my dad goes, it took some time for me and my dad to get to the place we are right now, right? And now that we're here, right, I mean, he lives in Jacksonville now. I go to Jacksonville all the time to spend some time with him. You know, we said that we were going to get off on a golf course and try to figure some things out. So I don't have, you know, that story of having an absent father, because even when things weren't as solid as they are now with my real dad, my stepdad was there. So the two names are Matthew Jones, and my dad, and then Chad Jordan, my stepdad, and call both of them dad. You know, so yeah.
That's awesome, man. The word rely. As a father, you know, you got somebody you can rely on. Yeah. Fathers.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me excited to be a father someday too, you know. Okay. And it's you got a lot of these pictures printed out, but the picture of Lil Greg and Amari at a basketball game, courtside game, that's at my event. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
I'm looking when I first got the picture. I said, "Man, look at this dude on the front row," you know, because that's when I hear Greg like people like this dude, you know. And I looked, I said, "He on the front row." I said, "What game he?" That was at your game.
So we did a couple of events. I don't remember if that was the UIC gym or if that was Wintrust. I think that might have been Wintrust. But we've done a couple of big events in those gyms, whether it be like anniversaries for the foundation or like celebrity games or just a high school tournament, whatever it may be. But, you know, Greg being a basketball player, a fan of basketball, you know, you always come through. And I always make sure him and all the guys had the best opportunity possible to watch the basketball game.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Especially when he started bringing, you know, Amari around and Messiah around and watch basketball. And then when he was talking to me about how he was introducing Amari to Miss Foster, right? Yeah, he was like, he like it, but he don't love it yet. Like, you know what I'm saying? What do I do? But now I hear that he loves football. So, yeah, that was just like seeing how Lil Greg, you know, is with the two of them, like, and then having a good relationship with my fathers. You know, I'm excited for when it's my time.
That's cool, man. That's excellent. And I love that picture, man, of Greg and Amari like that, bro. Because it just looked like he was just teaching me. Amari just like sucking it up. And just like, okay, I'm like, that's a father. Yeah. You know, I'm like, look at my son growing up, you know. Yeah. So, yeah, I saw that picture. I was excited. Then behind him, you had another little ball player that sat behind him. His name is Keith. Keith was sitting like in the second row right behind him. I was like, man, look at Keith. Keith
played on the Explorers with Greg.
That's right. Yep. See that picture? Keith right there behind him on that picture.
I saw some of the Explorer games too. One of my boys that I'm with and I work with, his name is Durrell. He played on the Explorers team with Greg too. So we've been close for a while. Durrell Darskin.
Yeah. Durrell was a guard.
Yep, Durrell was a guard.
Yeah, his dad named Durrell too. Big Durrell. I remember Durrell. Yeah. So did.
We talk about those Explorers, you know, times all the time.
Hey, you know Explorers, man. You know Greg.
Yeah.
You know, that's cool because, you know, that was the thing like before Ferrari. The Explorers wasn't on Ferrari level, but he was hustling on Explorers,
Greg,
you know.
Durrell, Keith, Big Keith. A lot of the guys.
TK, John. Yep. They had a squad over there.
They was nice.
Yeah. They used to get Ferrari fits too. But Ferrari would pull it out. Yeah. Oh, man. Hey, on January 28th, how did you find out about, you know, Greg getting shot, and how did that day go for you?
It was a hard day, needless to say. I know exactly what I was doing. So I was actually, I had like a TV interview going on, but it was, we were still kind of recovering from COVID. So I was at home doing it on my laptop. And I remember like getting like FaceTime signals from like the computer at the top right side. And it was like, Lil Ricky, like calling me, right?
Man, shout out Lil Ricky, man.
Shout out Lil Ricky, man. That's my brother.
Wiz, definitely.
Yeah, Wiz is my guy too. But I kept getting calls from Lil Ricky. But, you know, like, Lil Ricky, like, if he wants something, he gonna call you 100 times. So, you know what I'm saying? You don't even know if it's serious or not. Like, he just like, you know, so, you know, I end up like writing them, like, hold on. But as I'm writing them, like, I see TJ Spencer calling me, right? TJ made all the graphics for Herb. You'll know him if you saw him.
Okay.
But TJ calling me a bunch, right? And so I'm like, you know, something must be going on, right? Either like it's a show about to happen or like something like that where all of the boys are calling me. Like, it's got to be a reason all of the boys are calling me. So, you know, I ended the interview and I answered TJ call because he was calling again. And he like, man, like they said, you know, so-and-so just happened, whatever. I'm like, is he alive? He like, I don't know. So I called Lil Ricky back. And Lil Ricky like bawling, like he crying. Like, man, they just like, they shot my nigga, Joe. They shot my, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if we can curse on here, but he like, okay. So he like, man, they shot my nigga, man, they shot them. Ooh. And I'm like, who? So I just started getting emotional because I ain't never seen Lil Ricky cry before. I know Lil Ricky like since we were 6, 7 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we play small fry together.
Okay.
I never seen him cry before. So man, they shot, you know what I'm saying? They shot Lil Greg. So I'm like, nah, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, so I started asking questions and he just like freeze. He like, let me call you back, you know? So I just end up like packing all my stuff. I go to Lil Ricky's house, right? By that time, like all the boys over there, right? They all, you know, everybody over there like kind of emotional. And that was my first time like meeting Wiz.
Okay.
So like I heard stories about Wiz all the time because Lil Greg would be at the crib. You know what I'm saying? I didn't meet A1 until afterwards either. But I always hear stories about all the boys when I'm like, you know, meeting them, right? They always heard stories about me, whatever. And so, you know, I'm over there and I'm just talking to them, whatever. And they like, you know, everybody's like kind of emotional about it, you know? And like Lil Ricky was telling me like, you know, when he found out, like he said, like either the first, I don't want to like misquote him, but like the first or the second person he called was me, right? He said he called me, you know, I didn't answer. Then he ended up calling Herb, but Herb not answering. I don't know if he like sleep, you know, they on LA time, so he might have been asleep or something. So he said he called him a couple times or whatever, like he talked to Herb, and then, you know, I ended up calling him back. And I was just on the phone with him. But by the time I got over there, it was just like, it just felt weird, you know, because like that was the first time in a while I had been over Lil Ricky's house and Lil Greg wasn't there, right? That was the first time where like I was around Lil Greg's other friends and I wasn't around Lil Greg. You know what I'm saying? So it felt like he was supposed to be there, but the only reason we were there was because of him. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it was a hard time, and during the time Lil Greg would be over my house and stuff all the time. I was dating a girl, right, and she lived there with me.
Okay.
But by the time, like, by the time Lil Greg passed, me and her like had our differences, right?
Okay.
So now it's like all of my memories like of Lil Greg, like she's involved in them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's making me miss her. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, who else do I reminisce with besides her? You know what I'm saying? So I'm calling her like just random times, like throughout the next few months, like, you remember that time Lil Greg was up? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I felt like I needed her, right? And I was going through like old messages of like me and Lil Greg. And he would be like, man, like I really love sis for you, like she the one. So now I'm thinking like, damn, like she had my boy's blessing. Like, should I just circle back? You know what I'm saying? Just all type of stuff that's going through my head. But all of that just kind of stemmed from, you know, that day. And then and I don't know if I'm running off from the question, but you know, I don't really have people to talk to about this shit, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, so don't forget, but that's exactly how I got into this, because I just needed somebody to talk to, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's. So we did the same thing, you know.
I don't really have nobody to talk to about this shit, but just even like with work, right? I was telling you before we started the show. When I would be over there, I'll be talking to Lil Greg, or you know what I'm saying, like, or you know, he'll be hearing me in the background when talking to somebody else. He'd be like, "You about to go do what? Like, LeBron just posted you know what I'm saying? Like, you finna do what? What Obama know? You know what I'm saying? Like crazy stuff where it's like, or I'll be over there, and I'll be going through my email, and I'm like, dang, I gotta get out of here, y'all. Like, I got a speech tomorrow. He'd be like, they finna pay you that to do that? You know what I'm saying? Just like things will wow him. You like, sure, you hard. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it was just like, and every time things would happen, because he saw it beforehand, I spent so much time with him. Every time things would happen, and I would post it up, you know, so he'd be like, man, like, you special, you know, like, I'm proud of you, you the one, you know what I'm saying? So even going through old messages, like, just when I have my moments by myself, and I go through old messages, and I need that motivation, I'm like, this is what I've been missing right here, you know what I'm saying? Like, me posting up, or me getting it done, and like, my boy calling me and telling me, like, you know, because
he told you the one?
He told me I'm the one, man. You know what I'm saying? He like, you the one, like, you hard, you special, like, you know what I'm saying? You the GOAT, like, stuff that you need to hear, especially from your boys, you know what I'm saying? So, it was points over the last couple of years where, you know, I haven't been as motivated as I was, you know what I'm saying? Because feel like I was missing that. Like, what happens when I get to the finish line? Like, I know my boy not gonna call me. You know, and not saying like, you know, like Greg is like was my end all be all, right? Because that's my dog. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like other reasons. Like there are other reasons why I have motivation to do stuff. Like, you know, like my mom's a huge inspiration for me. You know what I'm saying? My environment. Like I lost a lot of other friends before I started this foundation. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like him being around and watching me grow and me not getting those flowers from him. Like that was a little tough for me. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, now I'm in a space where like doing things like this or like, you know, being around Amari or Messiah or, you know, inviting them to, you know, basketball games or just, you know, because he was trying to introduce them to basketball, like trying to pick up like the minimal slack that I'm eligible to, right? That just makes me feel like I'm still in communication with my boy.
What you just said is so powerful to me. It's like, I feel like when us brothers, young men, older men, when we come together and we in each other's corners telling each other you special, you the one, you can do it, you know, if we had more of that, you know, not trying to go off into something else, but I'm just saying if we just brothers came together and it was more of that instead of hating on one another, man, the sky's the limit to what we can do, to where we can take each other, man. That's awesome. And I know you just mentioned your mother. I know you was about to say something, but I just think your mother is so awesome. And I never met your mother before, but when I was at that foundation, you said something to the fact that, you know, I might misquote it, but it was something like, I'm not a kid from the street. You know, my mother spoiled me. She took care of me, man, you know, and I was just like, man, that's awesome that you gave your mother those flowers like that. So I just wanted to say that. I actually saw you, and I wanted to say something to you because you went to a Lindblom graduation where Cheryl Burton had spoke, and my nephew was graduating too. But you left a little early.
Yeah, I left early.
You left a little early, you know, because I saw you, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, dang, I miss my boy, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to holler at you, you know what I'm saying? And as you said, double back.
So I went to Lindblom for 7th and 8th grade. Yeah, so I went there for 7th and 8th grade, and then from there I went to Whitney Young. But yeah, my mom, like obviously like my biggest inspiration. And I think that's why people like respect like the space that I'm in, because I'm so honest about it. Like obviously all of my friends that I'm around like are doing whatever they're doing, but that's never been me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm not gonna be fraud and be like, man, you know, like that's not me. You know what I'm saying? That's not me. That's not the space that I'm in. I don't think I'm a bitch by any means. You know what I'm saying? And I asked you if we could curse before I said that, but I don't think I'm pussy by any means. You know what I'm saying? But that's never been me. Right? Before I could even go to basketball practice, like I had to do my homework. Right? Like before, like. I could even do anything that a regular kid did. Like I was practicing for the spelling bee. Like I was on the debate team, right? You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't. That's not who I was. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's also like what a lot of the guys, you know, around me, like kind of respect me than on myself. You know what I'm saying? But my mom, like, I think that I do cool stuff, right? And I think that sometimes I'll get in the car on my way, leaving the event and be like, all right, a little pat on the back, like that was dope. Right. And I see her pull off crazier stuff, like 10 times the amount of people. I'm like, damn, I got to catch up to this. I got to catch up to it. But
shout out to your mom, shout out to my mom. Definitely, bro. And I think the same thing about Greg too, because like when Greg stopped hooping and he started hanging out, you know, in the street more with the guys, he never changed. He wasn't fraud. I like that word that you said, and it just seemed like that's y'all clique, man. It's like y'all got people over here who do this, y'all got people over here who do that. Y'all let everybody do their thing, but when y'all come together. You know, all y'all fit to make the circle tight, you know?
We are people, you know, and I think a lot of the boys that I've been around, and I've only been around them more because Greg has died, you know? So there are like points of time, you know what I'm saying? Like obviously I'm from Chicago, like I listen to her, right? And he from Chicago, and we have a lot of mutual people, so they would see stuff that, you know, he would see stuff that other people would post up. But like when they first used to ask me like come hang out at the studio, I wasn't going to hang out with no studio. You know what I'm saying? I don't know him like that to be going to hang out at the studio. What am I doing in the studio? You know what I'm saying? Like so, but it was just after like so much like conversation with Greg. You know what I'm saying? He'll throw him on the phone, like stuff like that. I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna pull up. You know, but it was really Greg who brought me in, like tied in with these guys. You know what I'm saying? So like, a lot of it was, you know, Lil Ricky was first like, you know, introduced me and stuff like that, but. Lil Ricky ended up going to jail just for a small period of time. So it was like, you know, Lil Greg like come on, man, we go. And I'm like, nah, I don't know, dude, like that. You know what I'm saying? And Lil Greg, I'm like, man, they cool. Like, they know, they respect what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, come around. So
and Ricky said that about you too.
Yeah.
He told me when you popped on FaceTime, we talked. That's what he said that day.
Yeah, that's they like real like good people. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know much about them. Like I don't know like much about what they had going on prior or who they into it with. That don't got nothing to do with me. Like these cool people to me. You know what I'm saying? So, and I've had real and honest and vulnerable conversations with them where I'm like, we all feeling the same shit. We just expressing it in different ways. You know what I'm saying? Like we all come from the city. Like we all got a lot of the same pain. You know. And honestly, a lot of it was like trauma bonding. Right now, I don't know a day like since Lil Greg has passed where I haven't talked to them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's
so
awesome,
it's just if
he
anything,
brought you a family. You know,
and
what I'm saying?
I gotta give Lil Ricky some credit too, because him and Lil Greg used to get into it all the time about me.
What?
Lil Ricky be like, man, that's my real homie. Like you tweaking, like you know what I'm saying? You only cool with him because of me. Like that's my real homie. Like shout out to Lil Ricky, that's my man.
Hey, you know what? Sitting over there, man. You know, my son, one day we was talking, he was like, you know, Rick, did he? I was like, Rick. And he had did the same thing with Herb. He did it to two people, you know what I'm saying? Him and Herb. He was like, I was like, I don't remember Rick, you know? So when Rick came over the next day, he was like, this Rick, this Rick. Right. So, you know, in my mind, I had to know.
Right.
That's Rick,
right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how I got to know Rick. And, you know, I've been vibing out, you know, met Rick mom, she cool people. I think she worked for CPS too, if I remember right.
She was crazy after Lil Greg died. I was just feeling like a bunch of stuff. I've been, you know, I mean, I started this foundation because I wasn't in the right headspace for real. But especially after he died, I was going to.
Man, you got to talk about your foundation too, man. Don't let that sleep.
Yeah, I got you.
You know, we talked about it, but you didn't put it out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into it.
Okay.
But well, I guess it's a better segue for me to talk about it now, and then I'll go into Miss Akila. But
all right.
I started a foundation in 2018 called Project Swish, where we use basketball to basically combat the violence, but more so like bring in like resources and specifically like mental health resources, right? And that's something I was talking about on stage too when I mentioned you, but I lost like, at this point, probably like 15, 16 people to gun violence, right?
That's way too one is too many.
Yeah, one is too
15,
many.
That's like...
But and that's just like people that I was like close with, right? Like close with, not people that I knew. Obviously, that number's a little crazy, but
that's not good.
In 2018, I started the foundation because when I went away to school in 2015, like that first week, I ended up losing like two of the guys I was really, really close with in the first week of school, right? So I started off my college experience a little weird. Like I was just off. I was distant. You know what I'm saying? I was schooling in Cincinnati, so it wasn't like really many like urban black people that I could like trauma bond with for real. You know what I'm saying? They were just like, they don't know what I'm talking about. They just know Chief Keef music. You know what I'm saying? They don't know really what I got going on. And so it just got to a point in 2018 where I'm like, man, like I'm just not feeling like myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I'm missing a lot. Like I'm missing a huge part of me. Maybe it's because my boys are gone. Maybe because I feel like I'm, you know, depressed all the time. I don't know really, you know, what I'm feeling right now. But I stepped away from school. I left college. And, you know, as I was getting some help, like from myself, like mentally, like some professional help for like depression, for anxiety, you know, for PTSD, I'm like, man, there's so many kids in Chicago that don't even know like that these resources are available. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, imagine if I could do something to like expose them to this, right? That's what I'm thinking, right? So like, I'm not the only person in Chicago who's lost somebody to gun violence. You know what I'm saying? We open Twitter right now and it's 44 people shot over the weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no way that I'm even in the 1% of people who are feeling what I feel right now. But I'm not in a space where I could be a mental health professional, right? I don't have the education, so I think it's prevention. Like, if I can get these guys off of the streets in times that they're in danger, I'm doing my job.
That's an awesome vision, man.
You know
Listening to you. How old were you? 18 at that time? 19?
So 2018, I was 21. I was 21. Okay. I'm like, it's got to be prevention. You know what I'm saying? And how do I get people not to, in Chicago, how do I get people not to be in the streets? You got to offer them basketball. You know what I'm saying? So we just ended up setting up shop in like all the worst neighborhoods at the highest crime times to get everybody off of the streets and come hoop with us. So we had a gyms like sign up sheet would be 100, 150 people at 9, 10 at night. You know what I'm saying? Rather than the guys being outside on the block, they in the gym hooping with us. They in there hooping with their ops. You know what I'm saying? Just like, because they just love the game of basketball. And we had it set up. Well, we have it set up because it's still going on. but where it's like cameras, you know, so you get your little highlight tape, you get your photos, right? You know what I'm saying? We got a DJ in there. We got,
that was the draw.
yeah. You get your highlights, you get your photos. We got free food going on. We got a DJ in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was uniforms. Sometimes people would win shoes. Like, we were really, really doing it, right?
So
like,
on your first
really
night, you got like 100-something people to sign?
No, this was going on for
That's Eliana.
It was going on 4 nights a week. 4 nights a week, because it was in 4 different hoods. And it started in 2019. And it's still going on today. So that's what Project Swish was about. And then from there, like, obviously, since we've grown a little more, and now we've had like 2,500 people be a part of the program, it isn't just about prevention anymore, it's about healing too, right? So now that we have the 2,500 people in the program, like, what can we offer them now that we have their attention, right? So let's talk about, like, you know, if you weren't here, what would you be doing, right? And if you were doing that and something happened, how would you feel? And how would you respond to that? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you able to sleep? Like, that kind of stuff, because it was a position that I was in, right? So me just kind of, like, going off of my personal experience was really how I got motivated behind this project.
Wow, man, that's awesome. What's up, grandson? Hey, man, that's awesome, bro.
Appreciate
That
it.
is awesome. Hey, so the work behind that, though, did you, like, to get those 100-some people the first night, what was the work behind that? Did you all have to go out and give out flyers, or was it, like, what was the behind the scenes? Because a lot of people think it's easy to, like, you know, get stuff up and going, but man, it take a lot of work and commitment.
No, for sure. I shared this plan, like, with my friends before we launched it, and everybody was kind of on board. So when we were picking, like, the neighborhoods where we wanted to have, like, the programming at, I picked my friends' neighborhoods, and they would lead those sites, right?
Got it.
So Duro, for instance, he's from, you know, the Homeless Square area, right?
Who, Daryl, that we talked about
That
earlier?
we just talked about earlier, right? So he led the Homeless Square site. So he would be responsible for bringing people to bring people to bring people. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Kenny Doss, another guy that played basketball in the city, he's from Inglewood.
Okay.
So he would lead the Ogden Park site, right? So it would just be like leaders from the community would lead the sites of areas that they were from.
Excellent.
And everything was free, so we didn't have a problem getting people. And people want to hoop, you know, so it wasn't hard at all.
Okay. Well thought out, though.
Yeah.
Great plan to have a community instead of you just doing it by yourself. You chose strategically and had them make sure that their neighborhoods come in. That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. What's up, daughter? A legacy of Greg that you would like the world to have of him.
We talked about, damn, L, you missed it. We talked about fatherhood. I've been doing a little bit of, it was one time, this was a conversation that I think about all the time when I think about, like, the conversation me and Greg used to have. It was one particular time during the pandemic where, you know, I told you I was dating a girl at the time, like a little brat. She was like, we ran out of wine. Like, can you go give me some more wine, right? So we Lil Greg, like, you know, let's call it Uber. I'm like, no, my car's in the back. So we drive to the liquor store. And at the time, like, the city, because with the pandemic, the liquor stores were closing at like 8 or 9 or something like that. So we drove to like Cicero, and we just in the car like talking the whole time, right? And I'm talking to him, and he's just like, yo, you know, like, Nunu thinking about moving Amari to Texas.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And so I'm just like, wow, like, how does that make you feel? And he just like, almost like broke down for real. He was just like, he got a much better chance of being somebody and making it out not being in Chicago, right?
Wow.
You know? And then, like, we just start getting into it, like, I want this for both of my boys. Like, I want them to not have this, to see the stuff that I saw. You know what I'm saying? Not be around the stuff that we saw. Like, not lose friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, we start talking about, like, the lifestyle that we are around is not normal. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I don't know if that ties into, like, you know, fatherhood or just, like, you know, how protective he was over his people. But, Lil Greg know right from wrong. You know what I'm saying? We talked about this earlier. You know right from wrong. And he knows what the quality of life little boys should experience, you know, and how Chicago, like, takes that away from them.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, what word to put that in to make it talk about his legacy, but that's like the one conversation I think about all the time. And sometimes when I think about like, and I told you how like whenever I post something, he'll be the first one to come through and say something. Like when I think about, you know, like my motivation for it, you know what I'm saying? Like I can't run every kid out of Chicago in a program. Like every kid in Chicago in a program out the city, I can't do that, right? Like how can I make like this shit better so other fathers don't think like I got to get my kid out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So,
man, what I heard you say is he cared for his kids.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
And I was so proud of him for that.
Yeah,
I was so proud that Ileana and Donetta got along, so both of the boys can grow up and know each other. When that first happened, I was like, how this dude pull this off? You know what I'm saying? But they best of friends, and I really enjoy it, you know? It's awesome. You know, I thought they would have been arguing, no, whatever. But Ileana and Nunu was, you know, they was glue, you know, after a while, man. And that was awesome, man. And that's what I heard you say.
right.
That he wanted his kids, he wanted them to have a better life to him. And I think that's what most fathers want. Yeah. Most adults want. They want their kids to grow up to be better than them. Yeah. And if that continues to happen, our race will be stronger for that, you know? So that's what I heard you say. Whatever it takes for Amari to be good, I might be hurt, but at least my son gonna be good, you know? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, brother. Well, anything else you want to say before we get on out of here, man? I enjoyed, you know, vibing with you, man, talking with you. And
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. Eliana said you was going to pop out, and you did. You pulled right on up, man.
Sure. And I'll be back if you think of anything else. No questions about it.
My man, One Love Daddy Podcast. Peace.
Let's go, boy. Yo, video. They don't give a shit.